Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Erin Darling, and we're bringing you all of the latest movie news and insight into what it all means. Joining us today, as always, we have AMC Editor-in-Chief John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Today's a good day for me, because today is the day that I get to go and sit down with Harrison Ford a little bit later. Always a good day when you get to sit down with Harrison. You count that as a win on the win box.
That is a great day. I'm jealous of that. And also joining us today is our special guest, our very own Dennis Zen.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm jealous as well. You get to sit down with Han Solo and Indiana Jones at the same time.
I'm so excited about that, actually. I'm not going to lie.
Amazing. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with the news. So, number one, several months ago, there were several conflicting reports about how many Avatar sequels director James Cameron was developing. Now, some reports suggest no less than 3 sequels, but the producer of the Avatar films denied those reports and claimed there would be only 2 sequels for a total of 3 films. Cameron released this statement to announce the 3 new films. Building upon the world we created with Avatar has been a rare and incredibly rewarding experience. In writing the new films, I have come to realize that Avatar's world, story, and characters have become even richer than I anticipated, and it became apparent that 2 films would not be enough to capture everything I wanted to put on screen. And to help me continue to expand this universe, I'm pleased to bring aboard Amanda, Rick, Shane, and Josh, all writers I've long admired, to join me in completing the film's screenplays. The 3 pictures will be filmed simultaneously, with production beginning next year. The release of the first sequel will be in December 2016, with the second to follow in December 2017 and the third in 2018. Now, John, what do you think about Avatar having 3 sequels instead of 2?
I gotta tell you, I don't like it. I really liked the first Avatar film. Now, I'm one of these guys who I was like, it didn't deserve to win Best Picture, and I was really glad it didn't win Best Picture, but I enjoyed the film quite a bit. But one of the things that I noted was, despite the fact that it won all these box office awards, and that, it's crushed, it set the all-time box office record, yada, yada, yada. The funny thing is, about 4 months after it was out of theater, it was practically gone from the pop culture subconsciousness. I mean, you hear people keep talking about The Dark Knight Rises. People still buzz about Avengers and all these types of different films that kind of have staying power. And I just kind of noticed that, I mean, maybe your experience has been different, but I kind of noticed that nobody was talking about Avatar anymore. But I wanted a sequel, and I think a sequel can work. I really do. I think a sequel can be really, really good. But the problem is, will the novelty wear off for 4? Do we want 4 Avatar films? Now, nobody can really answer that question except for James Cameron, because only James Cameron really knows in his head what he has in mind and what he has mapped out. I just know for me, my initial reaction is, I don't know that we need 4 Avatar films. I think 2 is pushing it, but I was looking forward to the second one. 4 seems like a bitch, and here's my biggest problem, Dennis. My biggest problem with all this, I want Battle Angel. I've been waiting for years and years and years for Cameron to do Battle Angel. Where the hell is Battle Angel? Now we got to wait even more. Anyway, what do you take on all this stuff about 3 Avatar sequels?
Yeah, I'm kind of like in your camp. I really liked Avatar. I know a lot of people bash it, but I thought it was good. I wasn't a big fan of Titanic, on the other hand, and Titanic was kind of like what you were saying about Avatar. Titanic was huge, and then 6 months after it came out, or after it ended its run in the theaters, like nobody was talking about it. So Avatar is something I'm looking forward to a sequel, but I don't know about 4 total movies. I probably will hold judgment until I see the second one. Perhaps the second one will open up some story possibilities. Maybe.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hopefully. I mean, I'm a big fan of Josh Friedman, and with James Cameron, the thing is, you can never doubt him. You can't count him out. You can't because remember when Titanic was being made, everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is going to be the biggest disaster ever," and it only became the biggest movie ever at that time. Same thing with Avatar. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, this thing! They're spending all this money on it," and then it broke all the box office records. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I don't see why they need 4, but I'm just gonna have to trust James Cameron.
Yeah, and it should be pointed too when Cameron says that, hey, and I'm thrilled to have on guys like Joss and Rick and Amanda and Shane. Now, we already talked the other day that Joss Friedman is the guy who was the showrunner for the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Now, when he refers to Rick and Amanda, they were the writers for, he's talking about Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver. They wrote Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I thought they did a great job with that film. Mm-hmm. And when he's talking about Shane, he means Shane Salerno, who worked on Savages. With Oliver Stone. And I thought that was actually a pretty decent screenplay. So he's brought on a lot of help because it looks like he's got a lot of writing. Do you want two? I mean, do you want, not two, do you want 3 sequels?
Well, here's my take on it. I liked Avatar, I liked Titanic, I like James Cameron, and I trust his vision. I think that if the world is so big and there's enough character development that he can take care of and enough storylines to follow, I trust him in what he's thinking. I might get burnt out on it personally. I'm not sure how much I will want to see them all. I am very interested in the sequel, though. However, the red flag for me in the sentence is that the 3 pictures will be filmed simultaneously.
Well, I mean, it's the most economic way to do it.
It is, but how is he going to be able to focus on all of these separate projects?
Well, I mean, not James Cameron, Peter Jackson filmed all 3 Lord of the Rings films at once. Mm-hmm. I mean, really simultaneously back to back to back. And the nice thing about that is, of course, that it means we won't have to wait 5 years in between each film. So they're going to come out in 2016, 2017, 2018, and that's the way to do it. But it just seems like a lot.
I feel like he might be spreading himself a little bit thin.
Maybe. We'll see. All right, what's next?
All right. Well, as most of you guys know, Warner Brothers is busy developing their upcoming 2015 Superman Batman film. Now, one of the top priorities is casting their new Dark Knight. We've speculated a lot on this show about who could possibly wear the cowl next, and while according to a new report, you may be able to narrow down the candidates down to people in their 40s. According to popular Batman site, Batman on Film, the new Batman won't just start out in his superhero career, but rather he'll be a grizzled veteran who has been on the job for several years. Dennis, so what do you think about all this, and what do you make about a more seasoned Batman?
Well, I mean, if the rumors are true, I'm all for it. I actually would prefer someone that's already more seasoned. They're not going to go back to Batman's origin, so might as well just start him off as someone that's already experienced. And also for that age range, that goes into the 2 actors that I most want to play Batman, which are Carl Urban and Guy Pearce, because they're both in their 40s. So if it's true, which I don't think it is, I think it's a great idea, but I have a feeling they're going to want to cast younger just so they can make more movies, because they don't want whoever gets cast to be like super old by the time the second or third one comes out.
I think they're fine. I really do. And I've said for a long time, I want the seasoned grizzle. I want the wise, battle-tested, seasoned Batman who's already a thoroughly proven badass, as opposed to some 27-year-old kid who's just getting started in it and all that kind of stuff. I think it's the right thing to do. Now, look, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. is now in his 50s. And he's fine. You can start off with an actor in his early 40s, mid 40s, and be just fine for a set of 3 films. I mean, and look, as much as sometimes we say we want 8 of those movies, most of the time they don't go past 3 films anyway, whether it's a 25-year-old actor or whether it's a 50-year-old actor. I think this is great. Now, it does open up those possibilities. I mean, it takes out a couple of the names that I thought they'd be looking at. One, I love Jason Momoa for this. I've really wanted Jason Momoa for Batman, absolutely, but not if they're going to do what I hope they're going to do, which is cast in his 40s. Then he's out. You can also pretty much disqualify Armie Hammer.
Thank God.
Yeah, out of the talk. I do
not want to see him in that
I thought
movie.
he would be a really good Batman. I thought he'd be great in that. But if you're going to go that way, you're right. It brings up the names like Carl Urban. But I can guarantee you this, Dennis. I was telling this to Aaron off screen. I guarantee you, Warner Brothers, the very first person they've called about this is Ben Affleck. I guarantee you he was the first person they called. I highly doubt he would take it. But Affleck is a golden child for Warner Brothers right now. And so I don't think he's going to take it at all, but I think he's the first guy. But I still stand by my belief that I believe they've already got their guy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think they're telling us who it is, but I think they've got their guy, and they're just not telling anybody, and they're keeping it under wraps. But if it is the guy in his 40s, grizzled, seasoned, already war-wise and everything, I think that is the best possible news for this. I'm all for it.
I completely agree with you. I wanted to see an older Batman. When I was thinking about possible casting choices, everyone that I wanted to see, I kept saying, no, they're too old. They can't do it. But now that this news is coming out, I'm thinking this is great because I want Jim Caviezel to be Batman. I think he'd be amazing.
That's a really interesting
And Dennis,
choice.
Carl Urban, I think is an amazing choice too. And I hadn't really given much thought to that. After you said it though, I'm like, wow, that would be incredible. I'd love to see him do that.
All right, folks, well, we've reached that part of the show for buy and sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Erin's got a bunch of other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Erin, what do we got?
All right, let's start this off. A few days ago, Fox released the first viral video and images for the upcoming X-Men Days of Future Past, which gave us our first official glimpse of the dreaded Sentinels, robotic soldiers designed to hunt, capture, and kill mutants. Now, director Bryan Singer has put out this picture of a life-size model standing beside it to give us a real sense of scale and how big the machines are. So, John, buy or sell the new look?
I personally buy. I really like the look of the new Sentinels. It's a real world feeling Sentinel. You can't have a Sentinel directly taken from the comic books. That would look silly in real life. I think they look great. A little bit bigger than I would want. Seeing him now standing next to Bryan Singer, I would like to see him a little bit smaller, but they're in the right ballpark. I think they're in the right ballpark for size because they are kind of menacing still without being too overly big. You don't want them Jaeger size. So yeah, for me, this image is a buy. What about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I buy it as well. I think they're a good size. I actually more on the other side where I think maybe if it was a little bit bigger, it would be cooler. But I can't complain about it. And they look cool, and it's much more realistic. I mean, we're not going to get the giant-sized ones from the comic book. So, yeah, I think it's a good start.
All right, what's next?
Next up, a new trailer for the upcoming sequel, Machete Kills, has hit the web. Danny Trejo returns as ex-Federale agent Machete, who is recruited by the President of the United States for a mission which would be impossible for any mortal man, which involves taking down a madman revolutionary and an eccentric billionaire arms dealer who has hatched a plan to spread war and anarchy across the planet. The film also stars Mel Gibson, Carlos Estevez, aka Charlie Sheen, Lady Gaga, and many more. The link to the trailer can be found in the description below. So, Dennis, buy or sell the new Machete Kills trailer?
I'm going to cautiously buy this. I didn't like the first one. I know a lot of people did. There was a few moments here and there that were entertaining, but as a whole, I thought it fell flat. But for whatever reason, watching that trailer, I'm still excited to see it. So I don't know if it's the cast or some of the funny things. I mean, the whole thing with Sofia Vergara and her boob guns, like stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sold on it.
I gotta tell you, I really hated the first Machete. I did. I loved the first 5 minutes of it. I ate up the first 5 minutes, and then it went right downhill after that. But this trailer sold me. It's a buy. I love this trailer. I think this looks great. I thought every part of it was funny. Machete don't tweet. Okay, you got me. You totally got me. I thought, when I saw that part come up, I thought, oh, he's going to say Machete don't text again, and it's going to be funny. But then he said Machete don't tweet. I'm like, okay, that was a great follow-up joke. So you did it, Rodriguez. You hooked me back in. Please don't disappoint me again, because now you got me excited about this one.
I can't wait. Personally, I love Danny Trejo, and I want to see some crazy stuff happen in this movie. Cannot wait. All right, next up. The first official theatrical poster for the upcoming film Thor: The Dark World has just debuted. Thor: The Dark World continues the big screen adventures of Thor, the mighty Avenger, as he battles to save Earth and all the 9 realms from a shadowy enemy that predates the universe itself. In the aftermath of Marvel's Thor and Marvel's The Avengers, Thor fights to restore order across the cosmos, but an ancient race and its leader return to plunge the universe back into darkness. Facing the enemy that even Odin and Asgard cannot withstand, Thor must embark on his most perilous and personal journey yet, one that will reunite him with Jane Foster and force him to sacrifice everything to save us all. Thor: The Dark World opens in AMC theaters everywhere on November 8th. So, John, buy or sell this new poster?
I buy it. I'm not head over heels in love with the poster, but it's a nice looking poster. It gives a shot of all the different characters we're looking forward to seeing again. So it's nice, and it's not just floating heads. So it's kind of got that revamped Star Wars poster feel to it. So I'm okay with it. And look, everybody knows, aside from Avengers, Thor is my favorite Marvel film. I love that movie. I'm really looking forward to this one. But, the poster's not blowing me away, but it's good enough, so I like it. Dennis, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it, but just barely. I think it's there's nothing special about it, but at the same time, it does look kind of cool. Yeah, it's the typical, like, there's the shot of the hero, and there's the female, like, lead, and then you have all the other characters in the background.
And the menacing villain, half transparent
you guys,
in the background.
You know what this reminds me of? You know when you're walking down Venice Beach and it's a nice day outside and there are the vendors, the t-shirt vendors with all the psychedelic wolf shirts with the wolf and the other wolf and all the wolves in the background. It's like some shadowy gradient thing. That is exactly what this poster looks like to me. I would not buy it.
Howling at the moon.
All right, what's next?
All right, so Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz's new comedy sex tape about a couple who take a night off from their kids to make a sex tape, which they end up losing, is coming together with their Bad Teacher director, Jake Kasdan, at the helm. Now, word comes that Kasdan has added Jack Black, star of his earlier movie Orange County, to play CEO of a major porn company that gets his hands on their tape. So, Dennis, what do you think about this? How does sex tape sound to you?
I hesitantly buy this. I think the premise actually sounds funny. I didn't see Bad Teacher, but I saw like bits and pieces of it, and it looked kind of funny. The thing is, Jack Black, I like him, but he's an actor where sometimes he's too much for me, and it kind of turns me off. So that's kind of where I have a little hesitation, but I'll still buy it just because the premise sounds funny.
I buy this wholeheartedly. Actually, I think this sounds amazing.
Me too.
And not a lot of people know this, but before The Mask, Cameron Diaz's first big film was like a softcore porn that you can find floating around on the web.
What?
So
or on Cinemax or something?
I actually really like Cameron Diaz, as a matter of fact. I think she's had a lot of films where she's gone through periods in her career where she's done like really crappy movies and she's done a crappy job, but then she does movies where she really knocks it out of the park for me. So I always look forward to, and I did see Bad Teacher, and I really actually liked Bad Teacher quite a bit. I wasn't jumping up and down about it, but I liked it a lot. And her and Jason Segel have really good chemistry. The whole premise, you're right, Dennis, the premise is what really sells this film. This sounds great. And I actually think Jack Black, who I can take in certain doses, I can take Jack Black in certain doses, and a role like this, playing the CEO of a porn company who gets his hands on their sex tape. I think this sounds really funny. Yeah, so for me, it's a buy.
Oh my gosh, I love Jack Black so much. You guys have no idea how excited I am for this. I am the only person here that loves him. I just think he's so talented and hilarious, and I love how over the top he is because there's no one else doing it like him right now. So sex tape, yeah. Cannot wait. All right, next up. The long-awaited live-action Akira seems to finally be on the way. It's being reported that Warner Brothers has gone back to director Jean-Colette Serra and plans to go into production on the movie as early as spring 2014. Set in a future city environment called New Manhattan, this sci-fi epic follows leader of a bike gang who must save his best friend, who has been the victim of a government experiment which causes him to develop dangerous and destructive psychokinetic powers. So, John, buy or sell the new Akira?
This is very, very sensitive, this one, because there are a lot of fans out there who have been waiting for an Akira movie for a very, very long time, and a good chunk of them have been very against the idea of North Americanizing it. But being in New Manhattan, that's probably the direction they're going to go. So they can put recognizable names and faces in it, as opposed to an unnamed, Japanese cast that a lot of people in North America wouldn't necessarily recognize, unfortunately. I'm going to still buy it. Buy it because this is a story and an anime that has been needed to be brought to the big screen in a live action attempt. Now, maybe it'll flop, maybe it'll fail, maybe it'll be terrible, but I'm all for this. I like the fact that they're bringing back the original guy that they wanted to direct. That's, I think, a step in the right direction because it means they're already a few steps ahead. The budget's going to be smaller, so it sounds like if the original budget was $90 million and they're reducing that even more, you're probably going to look at like a $70 million budget, which probably isn't too bad. They can probably fit that in. A lot of potential for disaster here, Dennis, but still, I think it's hearing that they're finally doing an Akira movie is a reason to celebrate, and then let's just keep our fingers crossed. What do you think?
Oh, I'm going to have to sell this. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty obvious that with New Manhattan, and obviously they want to make their money back, they're gonna whitewash the cast from the original anime. I mean, Akira is something like Watchmen for me, where when I was in high school, it was like I was obsessed with it. I'd watch it all the time. I remember there was a rumor, before there was like, I think someone had mentioned like Zac Efron or something as Kaneda. Oh,
yeah, I remember that.
I think I like threw up in my mouth a little bit over that. Yeah, that something like that is what scares me. And I've never seen any of this director's work, but he doesn't really have a big long list of any like sci-fi big budget type of movies. So I'm a little worried about that as well. Yeah, so I'm just, I kind of wish that they would maybe get a different director or something.
Well, I mean, the director, he's got action. I mean, he's done a bunch of action. He's worked with Liam Neeson a lot. As a matter of fact, he's worked on 3 films with Neeson, 2 that are still coming out. One with Neeson and Ed Harris together called Run All Night. Another one he's got finished already called Nonstop, and then he did that one that came out a couple years ago, Unknown, which was a very forgettable film, came and went, but it was kind of fun watching it. So he's got action under his belt. He knows how to do that. So I'm okay with the director. I just think those pitfalls are there. Like, again, for me, it's a wait and see.
All right. Well, I don't think they should North Americanize it, but that's just me.
No, it'll see it otherwise. That's the unfortunate truth. And it's a sad state of affairs, but the reality is nobody here will go see it if it's an all-Asian cast that they don't recognize and don't know. And forget the fact that it's Asian. That is a full cast of people they don't know and recognize, period. And that's a sad thing. That's a sad thing, but it is the reality.
Then they should just go indie with it.
Can't make an indie film for $70 million and make no money.
Get Neil Blomkamp to do it. Anyway, moving on. At last month's Comic-Con, director Zack Snyder used a passage from Frank Miller's graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns, to announce the new Batman-Superman film. A new report just emerged that Snyder is planning on meeting with Frank Miller this week to discuss his new movie. Dennis, buy or sell the significance of this meeting?
While I think that Zack Snyder meeting with Frank Miller is a good thing, I have to sell the significance of it. I think it's more of a fan service type of thing. Like, hey guys, I'm gonna go see the guy who wrote and drew Dark Knight Returns. I do think Frank Miller can be of some help. I mean, his directorial debut with The Spirit was not good, to say the least. But
you are being kind, my friend.
Yes, I'm being very kind.
You are being kind.
because I like Frank Miller as a comic book writer and artist. And but as an adversarial role, like he was for Sin City, he didn't really co-direct that with Robert Rodriguez. He just probably told him things about the comic book. So in that role, I think he would work. So I think it's a good thing, but I don't buy its significance.
Yeah, I got to sell any kind of significance to this at all. Let's not forget, Zack Snyder and Frank Miller know each other. They worked together on 300. He had, he consulted with them, and they both worked together more on a producer level with the next 300 film coming out. And the fact that they're just going to go and chat and get some ideas, that don't read too much into that. I think he's just going to get some impressions, some ideas, but that'll be it. I don't expect to see what Robert Rodriguez did, which was set up a new little junior director's chair right beside him, like they did on Sin City, and have Frank Miller on set in this little junior boys director chair. That's not going to happen. This is a simple little meeting. They're going to talk, share some ideas, and that's it. Let's not overemphasize it. So I sell any significance. All right, folks, we've come to that part of the show for mailbag. Here's how this works. If you've got a topic or a question that you'd like us to address on the show, email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we get about 1,000 emails a week, and we only have time to get around to a couple of them, but send them in if you got a good one. So right now, Aaron's got a couple of questions pulled out of the mailbag. So, Aaron, what do we got?
Well, first up, we have Kip Darius, who writes, "Hello, enjoy the show. You say Pacific Rim cannot get a sequel because it did not make enough money. But Kick-Ass is getting a sequel, and it did not do so well in the box office, yet Kick-Ass 2 is getting made. So why not one for Pacific Rim?"
You know what? You're not the only person to ask me that question, Kip. That question's actually come in a couple of times, because when I refer to the fact that Pacific Rim is actually... It's not just that it hasn't made money. It's that it's lost a lot of money. I think when it's all said and done, it's going to probably cost the studio... It's going to lose the studio about $100 million when it's all said and done. Now, with Kick-Ass, was Kick-Ass a big blockbuster, huge smash hit? No. But the production budget on Kick-Ass was $30 million. as opposed to the roughly $200 million on Pacific Rim. They also put out about $20 million in marketing for that first film. So basically, you're looking at about a $50 million cost. The film made domestically like $48, $49, $50 million. It also made that much foreign, so it almost took in about $100 million. So even when you take away, the theaters cut out of that, Kick-Ass made the studio money. It actually made the money. Not, they only lost a little bit. No, they made money with Kick-Ass, whereas with Pacific Rim, they're going to take a big financial bath. Now, once again, we talk about Pacific Rim quite a lot lately. It is not impossible that Pacific Rim will get a sequel. It's just going to take Warner Brothers, like we said on the show yesterday, to really ante up and say, even though we lost a lot of money, we believe a sequel now with all the positive word of mouth, we believe now a sequel will make money. I don't think they'll do that, and I don't think they'd be right, but there is hope. There is some hope in there. Just don't hold your breath. Dennis, what do you think? You think it's okay that Kick-Ass gets a sequel and Pacific Rim doesn't?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it was $30 million. It made almost 100 worldwide. And another thing Kick-Ass had going for it was that it had huge Blu-ray sales and DVD sales. Like, I remember when it came out, they sold a lot of them. Pacific Rim, yeah, it's a different animal. I mean, when your budget is close to like $200 million and all the marketing and all that stuff, even with the Blu-ray sales that I hope are going to be really good, I don't know if they can make up $100 million. I would like to see a sequel, like I've always said, but it's a totally different comparison. You can't compare Kick-Ass and Pacific Rim. It's just totally different.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, well, our next question comes from Shane Lynch, who writes, I love watching your show. I've watched it every day for almost a year now, so keep up the great work. You guys haven't really touched on Ridley Scott's new film, The Counselor, whose first trailer looks awesome. I agree with you, Shane. Do you think that such a great cast and a great director that this could definitely be a Best Picture nom?
The possibilities there. I mean, you're right. The Counselor. This is a terrific looking trailer.
It looks amazing.
It caught me completely off guard. What was I watching? I went to go see something recently, and the trailer popped up, and it was the first time I've seen the trailer. I can't even remember what movie I was watching, but it looks fantastic. And what a cast! Javier Bardem,
Penelope
Cruz, Michael Fassbender, Cameron Diaz, and of course Brad Pitt. Comes floating around in there too. It looks like it's got all the intrigue. It's got a lot of sexiness to it at the same time. I guess Michael Fassbender is our main protagonist. A lawyer who gets caught up in trafficking drugs and all this kind of stuff. That obviously doesn't sound very good. There's a cheetah sitting by a pool. As soon as you put a cheetah sitting by the pool, I'm sold. You got me. That's fine. I think this is a terrific thing. You got a fantastic world-class director doing it. Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to ask me, look, I haven't seen the film. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this is going to be a Best Picture nom. But if you're just talking about potential, okay, if we're just talking in the realm of potential, I'll say this looks like one of those types of films that could have Oscars written all over it. So we'll see how it actually works out. Dennis, you saw the trailer. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think potentially it could be. It has a great cast, really good director. I'm actually not one of those people who hate on Prometheus. So for me, like, I'm not going, oh, that was such a terrible movie, and so this one's going to be terrible. But I have to say, Ridley Scott does have a kind of a pattern of really awesome trailers and the movies being okay, or because Prometheus, the trailer was awesome. If you've remember American Gangster had an awesome trailer.
Oh yeah, those are all great trailers.
Body of Lies had a great trailer as well. And for me, all three of them were like, they were all right or above average, but none of them were like blew me out of the water. So that's kind of my hesitation for this movie. It looks good, but I mean, all his trailers make his movies look good.
Now, you just watched the trailer just before we started the show. What did you think of it?
I had the same experience as you. I was in a theater for something, and I saw the trailer, forgot about it, rewatched it right now, remembered how cool it was. And I think it looks amazing. And I love the fact that this trailer doesn't give away all of the secrets of what we're going to see in the movie. Thank God.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about the trailer. It builds a lot of suspense, a lot of intrigue. And personally, I cannot wait to see this movie, even though I don't really know what it's about. Thank you, trailer editors.
All right, folks. Listen, that'll do for us. We're all out of time. Thanks so much for joining us. Listen, before you do anything else, First off, go down and click that thumbs up button if you like this video. It's just a good way of letting us know that you like the video. But also, make sure you click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show and our weekend AMC Mailbag show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. If you want an audio-only edition of this episode today, look in the description of this video, and you'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher Radio. And hey, go on out and see a movie tonight. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. I want to thank, as always, our lovely host, Miss Erin Darling. Erin, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin A. Darling, YouTube Erin Ashley D, or Erin Darling fan page at Facebook.
The one and the only Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, and you can find me on Facebook. Just look up my name.
And you can find me all over the place just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. I'm going to go off and meet with Harrison Ford now. We're probably going to sit on big chairs on a dock, smoking cigars and drinking fine brandy, do some male bonding. Anyway, I'm just going to interview him about his movie. But thanks a lot for joining us. Until next time, I'm John Campia, and until then, bye-bye.